For persons living with disabilities, especially in our parts of the world, one of their biggest concerns is acceptance. And even for those who are able to break through, society doesn't quite have enough space to welcome them. Today on The Untold, we speak to Mr. Alex Tete, who from the streets of Tulaku in Ashaman has risen to a level where today he's traveled all the continents of the world. From this very shack right here in Tulaku, today he lives a comfortable life and now encourages people and persons living with disability to strive more for their lives. Come along with us as we hear the intriguing story of this man who has broken through the lines of society that hamper the livelihoods of persons living with disability. It's The Untold here on Ghana Web TV. My name is Eche Atisu. Come along.
It's God. It has not been easy. We give thanks to God.
He weeps. His tears, however, are not for the dead, but for a man who lives. Neither does he cry out of pain, but joy. He looks at the boy whom he once watched taking careful steps barefooted to and from school daily, and wonders what would have become of that little boy if he had succeeded in convincing his parents to take him out of school.
When he completed his elementary here, he was not satisfied. He edged on. He went to Africa Advance. He was not holding a support. You see him outside the gate, you will see him passing. When he sees me, sir, all the time, I feel for him, suffering. But he is not perturbed. One day, he was coming with his books. I don't know what happened. He fell. Quickly, he woke up. He struggled to wake up. He parted off his the dress and so I'm going to come. I had some feeling in me. The second time, I was at the gate. He was passing. So I said, I'm going to come over. Then I beckoned him, come. He came. Said, good morning. I said, good morning. How are you? Alex, why are you suffering? Why are you worrying yourself? All the time struggling, school education. Your friends learn trade and they are stationed. They work on to make a living. Why do you struggle? Then he laughed at the side of his mouth. He said, I didn't understand. So I said, I'm going to school and come. He forced, and today, I've seen why he did so.
But that boy holds no grudges, because he believes Ifo Ime's attempts to end his education was out of sympathy and not hatred.
Told my mother that, why do you worry your son to walk in the rain and in the sun, go to school? Get a kiosk for him, get some shoe making, and let him sit at one place and mend shoes for people. That will be more fulfilling than the way you let him stress. Because sometimes every day I sit by my house, when I see him pass by, I cry within me how he suffers, go to school and come back home. Then my mother said, no, it's only education. This thing will not take him anywhere. He can marry out of this. You see, he has to go to school. So I was not worried at all. Each time I pass by the man, I greet him. I make sure he sees me going. Even though I go through that pain, the goal ahead of me didn't allow me to be discouraged at all. I was so determined to be able to make it.
Alexander Tete's determination to complete his education was born out of his mother's words to him the first time he told her he wants to quit schooling.
My mother told me that the state in which I am is only education that can make me strive, because always my mother says that I want to put you in a position where when I'm no more, you can fend for yourself, and it is only through education. So reluctantly, I go to school.
This wooden structure in Tulaku, a slum in Ashaiman, is a place he called home until he got married and moved elsewhere with his wife to start their own family. Though he lives a comfortable life now, he returns to this neighborhood today as he recounts his life's journey.
He's still standing here. Yeah. And you know, it goes through, sometimes it wear off, they replace it. Yeah, they replace it with other wooden, yeah, but this is the room where we lived.
And you lived here with your parents?
Oh, with my parents, so my siblings were here. We were five siblings, and we even had other family brothers and sisters who were living with us. My mother's sisters' children, and yeah, all within this. But what happens is that because you know we are within the vicinity, sometimes we don't sleep our room. Sometimes we sleep with friends, but this is where our things were, and this is what we call home. We came in agreement with my wife that we need to relocate from Ashama, because Ashama is too hot in terms of character building. If you don't have the resilience and the capacity, your children will go wayward.
At a tender age of 6, Alex Tete contracted polio and became crippled as a result. Believing it was spiritual, his mother moved him from one church, prayer camp, or shrine to another, hoping her son would be healed, but his condition remained the same.
I remember Rehad Bonki came to Tema, to the USA Park, and my mother carried me at the back, and there was a healing process, and the crowd was so huge. My mother was carrying me, wants to get close to the man of God, the prophets, and it wasn't easy. We got close to, we prayed for, but we came back home. I wasn't healed. The intention was that I would be able to walk. There were a lot of people who came there who had crutches, who had wheelchairs, were able to stand. Some have to leave their crutches, but my mother carried me at the back. She tried to put me on the ground so I can stand, but I couldn't stand. So we came home, so disappointed that I couldn't walk. So this process go on every now and then. Every time there's a crusade, my mother wants to carry me there until a friend told my mother to send me to hospital so they can work on my legs. So I went there and they gave me some calipers to hold my leg, and they gave me a wheelchair, and they gave me crutches, and I started to walk. I mean, from the time I got my polio, where it paralyzed me, up to the time I went to the hospital was about 3 years. So when I went to the hospital, I was around 9 years. So that time, I was ready to go to school. So I started school when I was 9 years, class 1. So class 1, because most of the time I was at home, my siblings, my senior brother and the sister come home, and some of the things they are taught at school, they teach me. So I became very sharp, and some of the things that I should learn in the infancy, I learned them at home. So when I went to the class 1, in no time I was jumped from class 1 to class 3. So I didn't attend class 2 at all.
His mother had to shoulder the burden of footing his medical bills, as his father wasn't making much from his small carpentry business.
My mother lost her money, at a point she has to sell her clothing to take care of me, to take care of my medical bills. There was no support. My father was around, but my father is also a mini carpenter. She goes around, repair tables and chairs for people, and out of that we make it. So we were hugely depending on my mother's business. So it wasn't easy. I couldn't even go to the hospital again for review. So my calipers and crutches all got broken.
Without crutches to support him anymore, Alex had to resort to crawling wherever he went, including school.
I remember at school, and nobody would like to sit by me because when I crawl on the floor, and you can imagine I crawl in the sun, and I became so dirty, very sweaty, and nobody would sit by me because at the school there's this mono desk where 2 people sit, and I was alone on my desk, and nobody would sit by me because of the sweat and the dirt. And I remember I was so sad. I was so sad, and when I came home, I told my mother I won't go to school again because nobody want to get close to me, and nobody want to play with me. And very young, you love to play. My mother encouraged me to go.
Maybe I'm a senior, I'm machine and engineer, I'm work class.
I was a senior in school, but my brother was his classmate. He either crawled to school or his siblings carried him, and that went on till he started using crutches. Then finally, he started walking like this.
About crutches, a trainer,
I can see improvement in his life, so I'll encourage the disabled in society not to look down on themselves.
Somebody then say, and that's what be our mom.
He didn't take it lightly being teased, and that made a lot of people avoid him.
Initially, you did not call me a different name apart from my name. I will gather some stones and make sure I hit you. I will chase you up. I will hold your legs, clamp your legs together, and you fall. And when you fall, when I crawl on top of you, you receive some blows. And then the next time you will not do that. So in my area, I was like a terror. So can you imagine? You, the same person, don't have friends. Now, even the few people who want to play with you, you beat them up. And I was so, I was so strong. My upper body was very strong because I crawl. Very strong. So when I hold you, it's difficult for you to release yourself. So this is how it went. And when I accepted my disability, I became a champion. I became so popular. I had a lot of friends. People call me Kakdi, people call me Pozo Hayes, and all that. I don't mind.
He went to school with my daughter, and I knew he walked with the aid of crutches. He was very aggressive at the time and even fought with my son by a gutter. I asked my son why he fought him when he knew about his condition. The young people were always teasing him, and in retaliation, he threw stones at them. He's not a bad person. We never expected that he would get to this point in life, and even expect that someone could fall in love with him.
Life became easier for Alex when he finally accepted his condition.
When I accepted my situation and I became happy with it, and I said, whatever the situation is, I would want to become somebody even with my disability. There I began picking up, and I started becoming first in my class. And so there and then I began gaining friends because I started teaching them mathematics. I was very good at maths. I started teaching them some of the subjects and things. So I became very popular, had a lot of friends. People call me names, and I give them more. I receive the morale and all that.
As time went by, his father made some wooden crutches for him, and he moved around with that. Soon, he was able to move around without the use of the crutches, even though he needed to be careful with his steps.
I managed and I learned how to walk, and the walkings I do is tactics. Tactics. So once I walk, I look on the floor because the floor is not even. So I look at where it slopes, where then I calculate my steps. Places where I'm not able to calculate my step, where I fall. So that is about my life. A few times I sit in the wheelchair when I'm so tired, and also I'm not able to go to long distance. But with the wheelchair, I'm able to do that. I'm also a wheelchair basketball player. Yeah, I do sports. Yeah, I play basketball. So I use the wheelchair. And when I went to further studies in the UK, and you know, the accessibility everywhere is accessible. So I really used the wheelchair when I was there. And if you see me in the UK, in Hammersmith, central London, in the wheelchair, you wouldn't identify me because the speed at which I go. At the point, the police stopped me and say, "Please, the speed is too much." They'll be observing me. The speed is. I'm so excited. I'm so excited because if I look at where I started, somebody who was crawling on the floor, had no hope because her parents don't have it, and where I am, where I can sit with ministers to discuss issues of disability. A few times I've participated in the UN conference, giving presentation. Addis Ababa, I was there. In New York, I was there. Washington, I was there. To participate in UN conferences to discuss policies, global policies. Yeah. So I just praise God and thank God for where He has brought me.
Mr. Tete walked barefooted all his life due to his condition, until a friend encouraged him to try wearing shoes. This was when he was about 20 years old and in secondary school.
I went through the education barefooted until I got to secondary school. And the secondary school, you know, because there's no money, the schooling was like private. I went to Snaps College, and the Snaps College, I did accounting there. And can you imagine, I slept in the school. That was where I began wearing shoe. I met a friend called Okran, and then he said, "Alex, you can wear a shoe. Alex, let's go to Kantamanto. Let's give it a try." I said, I don't believe I can wear a shoe. So we went together, and the friend, we got some shoes. Let me try. And I tried a few ones which fit my leg. And then the friend told me, he called Samuel Okan. He said, "Today you wear the shoe from here to school." So can you imagine walking from Kantamatu to Asalam Down, Snaps College? Formerly that was where it was. And I walked, and when I got to school, all of my legs got bruises. You know, when your legs look fresh. So when you put on that thing, I things. And for 3 days, I couldn't move. I have to remove the shoe and get the wound healed. But when the wound got healed, I put it on again because I said this thing must stop. I have to be able to wear a shoe like anybody else. So after 3 days, when the wound got healed a bit, not totally, but when the pains came down, because when I got the bruises, it became like a small balls around my feet. So when I got healed, all got best and got healed, I wore it again and started practicing, started walking gradually, and then all my feet, that area got hardened, and then I was able to walk to today. It's so amazing how I'm able to walk, wear a shoe, and now I can move to the shoe shop and get a shoe to wear.
Powers and principalities.
There's so much fire inside me.
Tragedy struck when part of the largest hillside at the kosher rubbish dump collapsed.
It's going to be fun to see how he goes about approaching this game.
The owner of the property where Snaps College was first located recounts some memories of Mr. Tete's days at the school.
I took him as my child when he was schooling here and didn't discriminate against him. He used to sleep here with some other students and I had a cordial relationship with all of them. Anytime I cooked for them, people asked if they gave me money for that. And I told them they didn't. They all slept here on mats at night and took their baths to get ready for class when day breaks. He was a good child, very humble, and I didn't see him as disabled. I'm happy anytime I see him. He visits me once in a while when he comes to help students.
He went on to get his HND in accounting at Accra Polytechnic after completing Snaps College, but almost gave up on his education again one rainy day.
All this time I've been moving from Ashama to Accra for lectures. Moved from Ashama to Accra for lectures. And there was this time, in the morning, the clouds look like it's coming to rain. So I got an umbrella. And when I landed at Tema Station, walking, there's a route from Tema Station to Accra Poly. I was walking in that lane where now AMA has built their offices. There's a lane there, people sell. There's a market there too. And so the rain started with strong wind. And I decided to open the umbrella because my books, I have a bag at my back and walking. I walk the way I walk, swing myself. And then before I realized, the wind entered the umbrella and pushed me. And in fact, with my books at my back, I was holding onto the umbrella and the wind was also blowing the umbrella to get off my hand. And I said, no way, I won't leave this umbrella. We were all on the ground in the rain. In fact, it was one of my saddest moments. Because you see, at that period, nobody was ready to give you assistance. So when the wind subsided, I woke up, put off the umbrella, and I said, the rain should beat me. It's okay for the rain to beat me because I'm already wet and dirtied myself. So when I got to school, I decided to get one of the empty classrooms and sat there. Because I didn't want to go to my colleagues because of how I've messed myself up. And there I cried. In fact, when I got back home, I told my mother and my father that I think that it's okay. It's okay to I told them, why am I going through all these challenges? Is there, where is this leading me? Because at every point in time I go through hell, I go through problems, sometimes trying to do something for myself. I face a lot of challenges, very bitter. And today I couldn't even go to lectures, even though I went right to the school, I couldn't go to lectures because of all this, all that has happened to me. So I don't think that I want to continue the school. My parents cried. My parents cried. After crying together with me, they told me that, yes, it is true that I am going through these problems, but that is the only way I can survive.
Mr. Tete moved to Pandu in the Volta region for his national service because he wanted to learn to be fully independent.
I told my parents this time I want to be out of home so that I can experience life. So, and you know, for a person with disability, you are posted anywhere you want to be because they assume that you need some support services. So, but I was asked where I want to be. I said I want to go to Pandu. No, I want to go to the Volta region. I said let me go to the Volta region. So they posted me to the Volta region hole, and because I did accounting, I was posted to Pandu Audit Service, and that was where life actually began. Yeah, so I learned how to live on my own.
Shortly after his service, he married the love of his life, and they are blessed with 4 children. But convincing her family to allow them get married wasn't an easy task.
So my national service savings, I was able to gather it, and that is what I used to marry my wife. But during the time I was schooling, I met her at church. I attended the Church of Christ at Ashaman, Accra Road there, and that is where. And I'm a very strong Christian, and because and in all this I'm saying that Christianity has actually made me who I am. Christianity, because each time I go through challenges, I go through the stress and the problems, I look up to God, and I said, God, I know you are there for me, and I know you will never leave me until I achieve my goal. So I met her, and she, when I proposed to her, she was confused. She was confused because we were very good friends, and she asked me, how about Kojo? I'm a man, they call me Kojo. In a house, I'm called Kojo. He said, oh, Kojo, is he a joke? But we are brothers. I said, oh, what? We are brothers. Are you the second born of my mother? I'm serious. So it was so many years, but I mean, I kept on because I attempted a relationship before, but the family, I got to know early that the family wouldn't accept. Because what happened is that lady, sister, also married a disabled person. So the mother says, Abba, is it a taboo? That is it a case? That all my 2 girls should marry disabled people? Why? As for this one, they don't agree. So I said, no problem. No problem. I married my wife, even though there was a few resistance. My wife's mother's family, because the mother passed on, so the mother's family were not agreeing to it. But the father said, this young man, I see in him a very good husband, a very good in-law. So for me, he can marry my daughter. I had a lot of support from him, and I married my wife. That was in 1999, 5th December 1999. I married my wife, and we are blessed with 4 children, 2 girls, 2 boys. The first 2 are in the university. The first one, Major in Tete, is at Tech. He's doing geography, and he's in the 2nd year. And the second one, Rose Tete, He's at Telecom University. He's doing computer engineering. And then the third one is a boy. He's at the GHS 3. And then the last one, class 1. That's the pension baby Elom Tete. So life is about how you make it, how determined you are. And if you are determined and with God's support, you can actually make it.
After his national service, he got his first job as an accountant at Sutrek Meets Ghana Limited. From there, he moved to the Ghana Society for Persons with Disabilities as national director. Today, he runs his own organization, Center for Employment for Persons with Disabilities, and has 3 permanent employees. His aim? To reduce the number of persons with disabilities begging on the streets.
So I'm an employee of the local government service where I am posted to the Tema West Assembly. My organization, I volunteer for the organization. So I have staff that I've employed three staff who are every day in the office and they work. And because I also work, I don't go there. I receive reports of their work, and also we have meetings to discuss activities of the organization. Basically, the organization is a non-governmental organization. It's not a profit-making organization. And what we do is to empower persons with disabilities in Ghana through vocational skills, employment, and livelihood support. And so we collaborate with other agencies and other government institutions. My work at the Assembly is also enhanced by the work that I do in the disability organization. I'm able also to mobilize disabled people within the Tema municipality and the metropolis, and we're able to embark on a lot of activities that improve on their lives.
He has traveled to at least one country in all 5 continents of the world, a reality he never dreamed of as a child.
I've traveled to the participated in conferences and programs because of my advocacy for persons with disabilities.
From this shack?
Yeah, from this shack. Yeah.
So all the continents of the world?
All the continents. I don't know. I've been to Asia, I've been to America, I've been to Denmark, South America. I've been to Nicaragua. You know, that was in 2005. It was the longest journey, 13-hour journey crossing the Atlantic Ocean. It was so tiring. Yeah. And so that has been great, and I was awarded, including other people. I remember Roland Walker was one of the guys who was awarded on that day. Yeah. So, and so people in Ashaiman, the youth of Ashaiman, recognize my work, even though I scarcely visit them now. They recognize that I come from Ashaiman. And just this week, one of the guys in Ashaiman called me that it's about time we do a homecoming, where a few guys who have lived in Ashaiman have to come together and see how we can develop Ashaiman, because Ashaiman is in a mess now. Ashaiman is in a mess now, and other people have come to live in the area and have given the area a bad name. But back in our days, even though Ashaiman has all the bad names, we were like a community. You know, even though there are a few bad guys, we were like a community, and we were striving. But now it's not like that.
The man who once lost use of both legs now has driving as a hobby.
The fact that I'm able to drive myself was a great thing for me, because I'm able to move and I'm able to control my life. I began by by somebody driving me, and it's been really difficult when every time you have to call the person and to come and drive you. Initially, I wasn't paying the person, and so it was like a kind of a pro bono service. And sometimes you can't get a person to drive you, and then you are stuck. So when I'm able to drive, I began, and I could see that I'm able to drive. I was so excited. So driving is a fun. I drive to Kumasi. I drive long distance to Ho. I drove to Donkokrum, from Plains and all that. I drive to Cape Coast myself. Yeah. So driving is actually a fun.
Whilst encouraging persons with disabilities not to look down on themselves, Alexander Tete expressed profound gratitude to his family for all their support during his trying moments.
Sometimes we look at the challenges and then we forget, we don't open our eyes to the opportunities that are open to us. I've met a lot of people in my life who have supported me here and there, and I've met a lot of discouragement in my life too. But because I am me and I want to get to a goal, I don't allow the discouragements. I use the discouragement as a stepping stone to move ahead, because I know that when I move to the next level, this discouragement that you are talking about or you are facing me with will be the thing of the past. I had a lot of family support. My brother, my sister, who was our firstborn, almost always carries me to school. Sometimes carries me to school because I crawl, and when I crawl to school, I'm dirty. She would decide to carry me to school before she also go to school, and I owe her a lot of gratitude. She has really supported me. And our second born, I'm the third born. Our second born is also a male guy, and that guy very strong. He can fight. So you dare not cheat me or do anything against me. If he comes around, he will make sure he beats you mercilessly. So nobody messes up with me. All these are all the supports that I had from them. And my father, so fantastic. I'm the only person who speaks Ewe. My father is an Ewe. I'm the only person who speaks Ewe with my father. My father was so supportive, so supportive. One thing he never encouraged me to do was to pursue his job, carpentry. Each time he tells me, "Look, this job is not good for you. This job is for people who have legs, not for you." I said, "Daddy, I'll make it." There's a lot of persons with disabilities who decide to end up their life. I want to encourage them that if you end your life, what do you gain? You have to make it. You can make it, whatever situation you find yourself. Other colleagues who beg on the street, it's not dignifying. You can do something with your hand. Even if you are not educated, you can really do something.
That's the story of Mr. Alex Tete, and we are grateful that you've joined us. We hope that it inspires you, as we always do here on The Untold. We hope that your lives are transformed from joining us on this edition. Until next time, my name is Eche Atisu. Do remember to follow us on Ghana Web. Go to www.ghanaweb.com for all stories on our website.